Hey everybody, and welcome back. Today we're going to try to answer the question, how does coffee temperature affect the taste? And this is something I've been really interested in, and once I got going on it, I knew it was going to be a longer one, so that's why we're in this landscape mode, doing a full video. Uh, and the results are pretty interesting, and I'm going to include some steps on how maybe you can find your ideal temperature and drink at the optimal temperature more. It's such a big thing that changes flavor. As coffee, a lot of times the culture was, let's just serve this really hot. And you just don't really taste it, actually. It just kind of ends up tasting burnt or like nothing at all. And so I did this with the 4 ways that I like to make coffee the most at home, which is mocha pot, Chemex, French press, and AeroPress. And then I also went out to some chain coffee places and tried theirs. And with each of them, I drank it at different temperatures. I did 5-minute increments to see the optimal drinking temperature, at least for me. And yeah, this is a little bit of a different format. If it's something you do like, comment or like the video. Or if you don't like it, yeah, comment and tell me something I could do differently. But yeah, let's turn that camera around and look at the results.
First, I will start off by establishing the boiling water temperature to track heat loss while brewing. Because I graduated high school, I know that water boils at lower temperatures at altitude, about 183 degrees Fahrenheit here in Colorado. And because I graduated college, I know that's way too hot to drink. Now that we have that out of the way, let's get started with the mocha pot. This came out to be the second hottest starting temperature. And if you want any of my step-by-step methods on how to make mocha pot or any of the other methods shown, these videos are linked to this one. Straight out of the brewer, it was 154 degrees Fahrenheit. Not too hot to sip, but not enjoyable. It was harsh, and the heat masked the flavors. After 5 minutes, we were at 133 degrees, and that tasted way better. Sweetness kicked in, and bitterness faded. After 10 minutes, we settled in at 117 degrees, and I like this the best so far. 15 minutes, we're at 106, and it is still great, but probably getting slightly less enjoyable. It is very slight, but I do miss a little of the extra warmth. And same with 20 minutes, as it gets below 100 degrees, I definitely still enjoyed this a lot, even more than I did at 133 degrees. Chemex is next. It is one of the coffee makers that seems to be at the right temperature right after it's brewed, since it starts at the lowest. We started at 143 degrees, and it is good. You can tell some flavor is not coming through though. After 130 degrees, much better, much more flavor coming through. And at 10 minutes, we are at 122 degrees. This tastes very close to the coffee at 130 degrees. At 15 minutes, we definitely peaked at 114 degrees Fahrenheit, the perfect combination of warmth and flavor. At 20 minutes, we're at 106 degrees, and the lack of warmth makes it slightly worse, but still great. 25 minutes at 96 degrees is a huge dip in how enjoyable the coffee is. At 30 minutes, it's at the point where I wouldn't finish it. Chemex is one that does fall off fast once it starts to get cold. The French press is next, and this is one I'm very excited for. To me, this is the most pure way of making coffee. You don't have any paper filters to soak up the oils, and it is easiest to consistently get right in my experience. The variables are so little, you just have boiling water and coffee. And as I expected it to come out pretty hot, it did at 153 degrees right out of the brewer. That's definitely too hot and taste burnt. After 5 minutes, it's becoming more drinkable at 138 degrees. After 10 minutes, some lighter, sweeter notes are coming through at 129 degrees. At 15 minutes and 120 degrees, everything comes together. Texture, flavor, and heat. At 20 minutes, we're at 111 degrees, and I put this right up there with 120 degrees, but in a different way. And if I could end the cup here, that would be perfect for most of them. 25 minutes, 103 degrees, and 30 minutes at 91 degrees. These are both not bad. The strong flavors of the French press really helps carry it into the lower temperatures. And now the AeroPress. An AeroPress is one that came out the hottest, just by a hair, starting at 156 degrees, and it tastes like a hot, burnt mess. At 5 minutes, we are coming in at 146 degrees, and some flavor is starting to form. 10 minutes at 134 degrees, we got some sweetness and a light fruity quality. At 15 minutes and 125 degrees, it's similar to a 10-minute flavor. At 20 minutes and 115 degree, the flavor changes in a good way. It was light and fruity, and now it is a chocolatey sweetness. 25 minutes and 105 degrees, we are still at peak with AeroPress. Temp-wise, this was very close to the French press for peak flavors. This shows that with any of these home methods, I think it's best to wait 5 or 10 minutes. If you really want to enjoy it, I think you got to get it below 140 degrees. Now on to the drive-through coffee, and McDonald's comes out near boiling. I even didn't catch it at its highest. It is almost boiling when it comes out. And it's obviously not drinkable, but once it got around 140 degrees, the McDonald's actually was probably best between 130 and 140. So I thought that was interesting. Once it got below 120, it was not very good because the flavor is just not good overall. And then the Starbucks coffee, 161 starting. And a lot like the McDonald's, it did get more enjoyable at the higher end. I think it peaked at about 130. It's not as bad as the McDonald's once it gets below 120, but it's still not something I want to be drinking. And as we watch this time lapse of 2 hours go by, I'll give you my final thoughts. In a keep warm mug like this, it takes about 2 hours to get from the high peak of 135 to the low peak of 105 for the coffee I'm most likely going to enjoy. Wait 5 or 10 minutes to start drinking your coffee, or to at least even pour into your keep warm mug. If you are drinking out of an open mug, I would say you want to drink it within 30 minutes at the highest. And if you're drinking out of a keep warm mug, I would say an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. Thanks for watching and enjoy.